So, Ryan, I have a bee in my bonnet today about social media.
A bee in your bonnet.
A bee in my bonnet.
Dangerous. You're not allergic to bee stings, are you?
No,
Oh, okay. Well, then no big deal.
I'm wondering if the listeners out there in listener land have a bee in their bonnet too when it comes to social media, putting themselves out there day in, day out to, promote themselves, promote their businesses.
Two
Is it just
things.
is it just
Two,
me?
two things, Alana. Number one, a lot of people I overhear or they say to me, I hate social media. I hear this a lot. I hate social media. Number two, I've never been stung by a bee. Have you?
Yes.
Never.
Really?
I've never broken a bone and I've never been stung by a bee, wasp, hornet, or otherwise. Knock on wood.
Wow. I've never broken a bone either, but I've been stung by, I think I've maybe twice I've been stung by a wasp, not a bee.
Yeah. I respect the insect world. I think that's why they respect me. There's mutual respect.
Mm. You know what doesn't sting me that I'm very, very grateful for? Mosquitoes. I don't get mosquito bites. They hate my blood, I think.
I get mosquito bites, so there's no mutual respect there. If you're a mosquito, stay away because I will defend myself. But the remainder, mosquitoes are kind of a wild card. The remainder of the insect world, mutual respect. I don't kill spiders. If there's a spider in my home, usually I'll just let it slide. Sometimes I'll escort them outside in the
Mm.
hopes that they have a better life in the wild.
Yeah, I kill those things.
Oh, man. Well, there goes the audience. There goes the No Excuses Coaching Podcast audience. They're going to hear that unsubscribed. All right. Before we lose any more listeners, I hate social media. And I'll tell you, I don't. I love social media because I think of it like many other tools as neutral and it has the meaning that you attach to it. That's my view, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You get out of it what you choose to get out of it, right? But a lot of people hate it, especially even coaches. And as we've talked about, if you're a coach, social media, like it or not, is part of your business. And realize it or not is part of your business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely. And I don't know if I would go as far as to say that I hate social media, but I guess I have like a love-hate relationship with it. Sometimes we jam and sometimes we don't.
I got an email from, he's an Instagram and marketing guy, Sun Yi, today.
Oh yeah.
And
Love
you know
this.
who that is, I think.
Mhm.
And he put in his email something that I've been saying for a while, and he articulated it really nicely. I'm just going to read it.
Okay.
Your customers are recommending you to their friends. He wrote, and he continues, and the first thing they're going to want to see is a sample of your content, referring to your social media content. They want to see what you're about before they commit to following you or, and he wrote here, subscribing to your email. But I would submit what he's saying here is when somebody hears about you and they think they might want your service, coaches, very good chance, 99% chance, their first stop is going to be your social media and they're going to determine whether to contact you thereafter. And if your social media sucks because you hate social media, you're never going to hear from that person and you're never going to even know that you lost a sale.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, that being said, let's talk about the 5 reasons to hate social media and the 5 reasons to love social media for coaches.
Mm-hmm. I love this list. It's very sassy.
Sassy list. We love a sassy list, but it's
Yeah.
true. Probably we're going to talk about which ones we think are true and which ones we think are not.
Yeah.
Maybe we think all of them are true. Maybe it's all nonsense. I don't know. Let's go through the list.
Let's do it.
All right.
You start because this first one I don't get it. So
Okay.
you go first.
So we're going to go through the list. We're going to go 5 reasons to hate social media first. For those of you on the hating social media bandwagon, pick up your pitchforks. Let's attack social media. Number 1 reason to hate social media, FOMO-tivation. I'll say that one more time. FOMO-tivation. FOMO meaning fear of missing out. And the description here is, as a coach, you're all about inspiring people to chase their dreams. But on social media, the fear of missing out can lead to a lot of anxiety-induced, and it says here Fitspo, which is like fitness inspiration, but we can just say inspiration, posts and elaborate updates from other people's lives, et cetera, et cetera. So really what this one is there's a lot of content on social media that is put out for the purpose of inspiring. And really what it's suggesting is, for some people, they see this, inspirational content, and rather than finding it inspiring, it's just a reminder of all the stuff they're not doing. They're not out there running marathons. They're not out there climbing mountains. They're not out there, I don't know, whatever.
Living their best life.
On the Greek Isles, whatever, right? So that could be a reason people would hate social media. Thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I understand it more now. Yeah, I guess that's why you would hate it. I don't know if that's why you would hate it as a coach, but maybe if you're following a lot of other coaches who, are living the big fancy, I'm a coach that's making multiple six-figure life, then yes, could it be demotivating? 100%.
Yeah. So this one is, not necessarily specific to coaches. It's kind of like a common experience for a lot of people. I think, I do and I don't agree with this one. I think if I were to put myself in this position, if I'm looking at social media and I'm seeing other people do great things, and that is causing me to feel bad, I would question more my beliefs around myself and what I desire personally. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I would ask, and I think the natural question from me to me would be like, why am I, feeling bad seeing this, rather than asking myself, how can I make this happen for me?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's going to come down to the values and beliefs of the individual, whether this is a reason to hate social media or not. And I think, I don't think it's a good reason to hate social media personally.
No, I don't think so either. I'm not really like a FOMO person though. So I think that's why this one didn't really hit for me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really get that.
Yeah.
I don't get FOMO.
Yeah. Now there is a difference between us acknowledging that people fall into this category and agreeing with it, right? I can acknowledge that people probably do fall into this category where they don't like, seeing others necessarily doing all kinds of crazy stuff that they feel themselves they would like to but can't. I get that. Mm-hmm. But do we put the blame, if we are in that position, do we put the blame on social media? That's really arguable. Yeah. I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay, cool. Number 2, reason to hate. And by the way, maybe this is a good time to say, I don't really have, there's very few things in life that I hate. And, generally on this podcast, we always want to focus on the positive side of things and, focus on what you want more of, because what we focus on expands. So I think we should clarify to the listeners, in case it wasn't obvious, when we say hate, we really mean it, in kind of a tongue-in-cheek, playful way. We're not encouraging anybody to have, harsh feelings about it. Fair?
Yeah, I would say it's more like, if you're having one of those off days, this might be a reason why you're just like frustrated.
Yeah. Or right? maybe the whole hate list is kind of ironic, right? Because I feel we've gone through one of them so far. I think like a lot of them are going to fall into this category where, if this is a reason you're hating social media, maybe it says more about yourself than it does.
Yeah, what's going on with you?
Social media.
What's going on internally?
Yeah. Hey, coaching podcast, right? All right. Yeah.
Okay.
Number 2.
So number 2 is keyboard coaches. Okay, so this is a good one because you go through your feed and you see like a whole bunch of like these inspirational quotes. And as you're like scrolling through, you're just like, is everybody on Instagram a coach all of a sudden? Is everyone doing the same thing? Like, what the hell? And, am I just falling into this sea of motivational quotes, this sea of like cliches on the internet?
Yeah.
And you start to feel a bit redundant, right? And you start doubting this career path you've you're on. But I think in this moment too, you have to realize that for sure there's tons of those accounts out there, but then are you want to check back in with yourself and be like, well, am I providing value? Am I showing up and like and speaking more than just a quote, right? Like a quote square. Am I providing value? Am I, engaging with my followers? Am I commenting? Am I adding to the conversation? I think that's where you want to go
Yeah.
when it comes to this one.
Yeah. Yeah, the keyboard coaches. I think some people get discouraged just at the, because they feel like everybody's a coach online. And that really isn't the case. It's just, it seems like that. And it's somewhat artificial because when you are in the coaching niche,
Unique.
yeah, all of those are correct pronunciations depending on who you ask. Anyways, when you're there, Instagram's going to push you content from other people who are doing similar stuff to you. So it's going to, if you're not careful, you might start to assume that like everyone in the world is a coach. It can feel that way, but it's really not the case. And actually the reframe here is that a lot of coaches indicates a lot of demand, right?
Yeah.
If there weren't fires happening in the world, we wouldn't have fire stations on every other block, right? It indicates that there are fires happening out there. Likewise, if there weren't coaching clients out there and a demand for coaching, there wouldn't be like a large supply of coaches. So fret not, yeah, there's a lot of coaches out there relative to the human beings on earth. There's less than maybe people think. And it's totally fine, right?
Yeah. I think when you're dealing with this, you got to like zoom out, right? And get like a bigger perspective of like what's going on. Often we're so zoomed in to Instagram land and like what's happening and, what coaches are out there that are, really crushing it and which ones aren't. And like you sometimes just have to put the phone down and go for a walk
and relax.
And relax. It's going to be okay.
And take a deep breath.
There's more than enough people that need coaching out there.
And allow a feeling of calm to come over you. Et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Cool. Yeah, we got that one. That one was called Keyboard Coaches. But you know what? This applies in every industry.
Totally. And the other thing too that you want to remember, and this actually came up on a call that I was on yesterday, it's like some of those keyboard coaches, right? They're not actually even selling coaching. Like if you actually go into the profile and you go to the link tree or something, they're like not even selling coaching. Like they could be selling t-shirts. They could be selling, other things. So it's just like, do your due diligence too. If there's something that's coming up, these keyboard coaches that are bothering you, like actually check their links and be like, are they even selling coaching? And a lot of the time they're not. Like a lot of those like Abraham Hicks quote ones, right? Like they have a huge following, but they're not even selling anything.
They're just they're enthusiast accounts rather than actual coaching services. Yeah, tons of those. Yeah. Okay, I think we got that one. The next reason to hate for coaches, next reason to hate social media is the infinite scroll trap. You're supposed to be helping your clients, but instead you're sucked into the world of social media content. It's a big distraction. It's a time waster. You're just looking at content, watching the reels, reading the carousels, et cetera, et cetera. That's a trap I think that a lot of people fall into. And, even myself, and I'm sure you too, I spend a lot of time on social media because that's where my clients and my students are. And I wind up consuming a lot of content. And again, is it social media's fault? Is the abundance of like captivating information on social media, wrong? I would say no. I would say this comes down to managing your outputs versus your inputs. This is a great thing for coaches to be aware of. You can only produce so many outputs. It's a lot easier to fall into the trap of just taking in information, and forgetting to output value to the world. But once you have that ratio locked down and under your control, this one, the infinite scroll trap, is not really a problem.
Yeah. We all get into this scroll, but really it's like procrastination.
Yeah.
When you think about it, like when I find myself like 20 minutes later, I'm like, oh my God, I've just like wasted 20 minutes doom scrolling. Really, I'm just procrastinating something else in my life that I need to take care of.
Yeah.
So don't
Yeah.
do that.
Procrastinate. Yeah, it is procrastination in disguise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I think this is a good time to ask the listeners. We're going to go through 5 reasons to hate social media and 5 reasons to love it. If you're sitting there and you're like, I really hate social media, and Ryan and Alana are not talking about my specific reasons for hating social media, well, send them to us and maybe we'll talk about them on a future episode.
Yeah.
Shoot us a message, either of us or the It's the No Excuses Coaching Podcast Instagram. Let us know, what you're convince me to hate social media. Maybe you will. Maybe I'll delete. Maybe you'll tell me the information. I'll delete all my accounts and go live off grid and grow parsnips.
Yeah. Like, what did we do before social media? Right.
Yeah.
I feel like we watched a lot more TV.
There was more TV. There was much longer phone conversations. Much longer. Yeah. And let's not get into that. I didn't want to think about life back then.
Yeah.
When I didn't have
I kind of liked it better, honestly. I liked it better.
Did you? I don't know. You could give up your smartphone and all social media today if you want.
Like, I remember, this is going to show my age, but I remember the conversation with my husband about him getting a BlackBerry. And I remember being like, if you get a BlackBerry, everything is over. Like, everything is going to change. I remember having
everything is over.
Not over, but I just knew everything was going to change in that moment. And it did. Like, it was like he got the BlackBerry, then he was like always on the BlackBerry. And then I think like maybe a year later, I got the iPhone. And then it's just, but before the BlackBerry, there was a lot more just hangout time.
Yeah. Okay. So there's another reason to hate social media. That's kind of because you could say the same about social media, right? It consumes people's attention.
Yeah. It consumes people's, like now, I look at it, both my kids on their phones. I'm on my phone. Dave's on his phone.
Yeah.
Like, everyone is so distracted. I think that's one of the reasons why I dislike social media, is it's just like, it's such a distraction.
There you go. That's not even on the list. Put that in. Well, kind of is the infinite scroll trap, but it goes beyond that. Cool. There you go. Potentially a reason to hate social media.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Next one on our list is #humblebrag. Okay. Yeah. Social media can turn into a competition of who has the best life as a coach. Oh, no, sorry. Who has the best life?
Period.
Period. Who can outdo each other? And this is such a bad trap. I mean, because this existed even before social media, but it's just like, don't do the comparison game. I mean, it's human nature, obviously. Yeah. It's not doing anyone any favors when you start comparing.
Yeah. This is another one that's like, there's that quote that's been going around for years. It's like, people only post their highlight reel on social media, or don't compare your entire life to one person's highlight reel, or et cetera, et cetera. And like, that's not necessarily a problem. And here's why. The posts and the content that you see on other people's profiles on social media has precisely the meaning that you attach to it. I think when people say, well, other people only post their highlight reel or the best moments, my answer is, of course. Of course, they only post the best moments. Before the internet existed, if you're at your buddy's house and he was like, hey, do you want to see my vacation pictures? He's not going to show you a photo of him with food poisoning in, laying in the hotel room, right? He's going to show you the pictures of him on the beach, like the best parts of course, right? Yeah. So again, I think this one like points to a person's own beliefs, values, and emotional state when they're consuming content on social media. If you're looking at people posting your stuff and you're assuming everybody's doing it just to make you feel bad, there's a good chance a lot of people are not posting, stuff to make you feel bad. They're just celebrating what's going well. And they're
Exactly.
showing their
Yeah.
highlight reel because that's very much a normal thing to do, right? If
Yeah.
you choose to use it as, something to compare your own life to, that's your choice and it's within your control, tough pill to swallow perhaps, but
Yeah. And honestly, when you're in your low light, whatever, you're like, are you even thinking about documenting that?
yeah,
Right? Like you're not like if something cool is happening, you want to take a picture because you want to capture that moment. But, if you're going through a really crappy time, it's probably not even in your conscious awareness to capture that moment because you're just like, I want to get out of this as quickly as possible.
yeah. Yeah. Is it inauthentic to only post positive stuff and, celebratory moments and on your social media? I would say no. I would
No,
say it goes without saying that everybody has ups and downs in their life. And if they only post the ups, that's their business. And it seems normal to me. Some other people would say, well, I must show, the downs in order to be authentic. And I would say, cool, that's your definition of authentic. And I totally respect it. But
yeah.
somebody else's definition of authentic could be different. And that's totally fine.
Yeah. I think that should be a topic for another episode because there does seem to be this narrative amongst the coaches in coach land where, there's a lot that are like highlight, right? Highlight reel. And then there are others who are really passionate about like showing everything.
Yeah. Showing the suffering,
Right.
showing the downs,
Yeah.
showing the hard times.
Showing like, I'm doing the work too. And,
Yeah.
only work with a coach who is going through the tough stuff and doing the work, that narrative, right?
Yeah. And I don't think it's wrong at all.
No.
And I also don't think it's the only one that's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool.
All
right. So that was number 4, humble brags. A reason to hate social media. Again, I don't think I've agreed with any of these objectively so far.
My challenge, I
Yeah.
had this idea. My challenge is, spend a week on the low light reel if you want and see what happens.
What does that mean? Spend a week on the low light reel, like post all night.
Spend a week just sharing your low lights.
Oh, sharing your struggles.
Yeah. And see are people more interested?
Interesting.
Right?
Interesting.
Because as a consumer, or even just as a person in general, the friends that you have who are upbeat, positive, like super fun to hang out with, always have like something new to talk about. Everyone's got one of those friends, right? And then everyone's got that friend who's like always down in the dumps, always has drama, always has something to complain about, never asks you how you're doing. Who do you like hanging out with more?
Yeah.
When they call you, are you like, yeah, so excited to hang out with the person that is always dumping, or so excited to hang out with that really fun, enthusiastic friend? Chances are the other friend, the friend that's like super pumped. So isn't that why we like watching that type of stuff? Because it makes us feel pumped. It makes us feel excited.
Yeah. There's that. I don't want to get too off track, but there's also like secret third option, people who acknowledge the hard times and position them as learning lessons, right?
Yeah.
Like then you've got the coaches that are like, this happened, it wasn't great. Here's how I overcame it. Here's why things are better now, right?
Yeah.
And if I'm gonna ever, share my lowlights, and occasionally I do, there's been some really rough times in my life. If ever I'm going to share about them, I generally will share it from the perspective that, here's what happened, here's how I overcame it, here's why I'm grateful to be where I am today, kind of perspective. Because I don't just want to give people reasons to be upset. I want to give people reasons to be like, yeah, tough times happen, challenges happen, things get bad sometimes. You as a human being have the brilliance and the strength and the magnificence to get through it, and your life can be better afterwards, right? Maybe that is a whole episode, this last.
I think so. Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so we'll leave it.
leave it there. To be continued.
Or do Alana Banks's Down in the Dumps challenge post only sad and upsetting things for a whole week. No, I don't. All right. Anyways.
I might try that.
Yeah.
The kids will like it. The kids like that stuff these days.
Yeah. Remember emo culture?
Yeah.
Do
I ever?
That's still a thing? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah.
Thing.
Cool.
Okay.
Number 5. Is this one mine? This one's mine. Yeah. Loss of authenticity. So coaches, you encourage clients to be themselves, but social media has a way of turning even the most genuine people into what does it say here? Pouty-faced, hashtag spewing caricatures. In a world of filters and Photoshop, finding your true self can be quite the challenge. I think this is a danger for a lot of people, is they feel they need to put on an act. They feel they need to put on a persona that is not in alignment with who they are in order to be liked, or in order to be desirable as a coach, or in order to sell their services. I think this is a risk, and this is a pitfall that some people fall into. And I think sort of the climate on social media might actually encourage that, unfortunately. But again, I have to say it does come down to a personal choice, because it's also totally possible to have a forward-facing, public-facing persona that is 100% in alignment with who you are and your values and your beliefs. And I know this because that's me, right? The Ryan that people get on social media and on my video content and in my training courses, yeah, it's not 100% of who I am, off camera and offline, but it also is 100% accurate and authentic. It is, the real me. It is the professional part of me that deals with the public and deals with my students and shares value, right? It is in no way inauthentic. So this is an interesting one. What are your thoughts, Alana?
I feel like authenticity is a real buzzword. But yeah, I feel like as a collective, we're moving away from loss of authenticity and becoming a lot more authentic as we evolve as like a population who is now using social media like all the time. Because I find that like people don't use filters as much, or maybe it's just the people that I'm following, but like people aren't using filters as much. They're showing up as themselves, being themselves.
Yeah.
But I mean, it definitely, like, it could be a reason why you don't like it.
Yeah. Could this be a reason to hate social media? We see other people being inauthentic on social media. Sure. Social media persuades us to sometimes be inauthentic ourselves. And if you're not able to resist that, you may not like that. Sure. Yeah. This one, I think, holds the most merit of the 5.
Yeah.
So far, because I can admit that some people may lose themselves in using social media. Again, I hard pressed to put the blame on social media itself. More so, the blame maybe goes to human nature.
Yeah.
But I can't deny it. That loss of authenticity occurring potentially on social media. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. Do we have time for the 5 reasons to love social media? Or should we just leave it there and everybody just hates social media for 1 week until next week's episode of the No Excuses podcast comes out? What do you think?
Why don't we just like bang them out, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we have a quick kind of chat about.
Okay, cool. Let's do that.
So these are the reasons why you probably love social media.
Or you could love social media. These might be reminders. Yeah.
Reminders. Yeah. Okay. So number 1 is instant audience. Whether you're sharing coaching tips, promoting your latest podcast episode, celebrating client success stories, social media gives you a platform to reach people you might not have otherwise. And this goes back to what I was just saying. What did we do before social media? Right? Like, this is a free resource that everybody in the world has. So like, use it as a tool, use it as a marketing tool, use it as a way to reach people that you otherwise wouldn't be able to, right? Like right now, you've got people all over the world watching your content, chances are, right? Even listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
So good reminder it's an instant audience, and you're not having to pay for advertising on radio, television, newspaper, magazines, which was like a lot of money, you
Yeah.
know, and not that long ago, like 30 years ago, that's how you had to get the message out.
Yeah. Has the power to put your message in front of lots of people for free.
Yeah.
It's just hard to argue with.
Yeah.
I think that's the number one thing as an entrepreneur. That's the number one thing I love about social media.
Totally. That's the bombshell right there.
Yeah.
Number one.
Boom. Done. Okay. Number two is called Networking Nirvana. Connect with fellow coaches, swap ideas, find inspiration from industry leaders without leaving the comfort of your home or your yoga pants. Who knew you could become a better coach in your PJs? This is absolutely true. I've connected with brilliant people, and it is 100% because of connections made on social media, people around the world, other coaches, other human beings, Alana Banks included. I wouldn't know Alana Banks if it were not for social
Yeah.
media.
Yeah. We met on Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. This is huge. It connects you to people that, like, there's no arguing. It connects you to people you would not know if it didn't exist, period.
Yeah.
Which is huge.
Massive. Okay. Number 3, building your brand. So social media allows you to craft your coaching persona and showcase your expertise to potential clients. And that's all I'm going to say about that. No.
Oh, you skipped over the part where the list talks about cat videos and being the life of the digital part. It's true. For free, you can have an online presence that can turn strangers into clients.
Yeah.
Which is just awesome. And having social media for most people is a lot easier than maintaining and driving traffic to a website. It's just this incredible tool. If you have a business, it's an incredible tool to have. Goes without saying. Yeah, and that's another good reason to embrace it. Okay, next. Let's see here. Success stories. Nothing warms a coach's heart like seeing clients thrive. Social media lets you share in their victories, no matter where you are, and you just need to be prepared for the happy tears. This is really true. Many of my students, many of my clients post their wins, post their victories, post their accomplishments, and I get to see it, knowing that I train them, knowing that the people out there hypnotizing people to change their lives, and I train them on how to do that hypnosis. Incredible, right? And I wouldn't have access to that information, and those visuals, and see that without social media, for sure.
Yeah. And it's also a way to like stay connected too, because when you think about it, before we had social media, a former client might send you a letter, to say, oh, by the way, I've had these great successes, but you wouldn't be witnessing it, right?
Yeah.
So like it's really allowed us to stay connected and experience it in real time with them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one. Yeah, cool. Okay, what's the last one?
The last one is it's a world of resources. Like think about now with social media, how much more information you have, like how much more knowledge you have about so many different areas of your life, whether it's like parenting or relationships or health or fitness, right? Like before social media, you had to go to the library and get out a book about the one thing, you were having a problem with or a challenge with, or you wanted to get better at or like learn about. And now it's literally like in your back pocket. You have a problem and you're like, oh, let me just search that up on Instagram. And then all of a sudden you've got like a dozen coaches that you can like start following, and they're sharing all kinds of their knowledge and information and free resources and all kinds of interesting things that we just did not have access to just 30 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There are some problems that I've solved in my life where Google and regular internet resources simply didn't have the answer. And the answer, actually many problems, and the answer has been found by connecting with people through social media. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's been the case. Boom. So that's the last one.
Yeah. So in my opinion, I think the love it list far outweighs the hate it list. And as a result, I think that bee in my bonnet is gone.
The bee has peacefully exited the bonnet, has joined its bee family, and is doing wonderful bee work, pollinating, thriving joyfully. I have to agree. Obviously, I'm on social media. I have preferred social media platforms. My number one is Instagram. My number two is Facebook, and they go down the line from there. I think there's much more to be benefited from social media than there is to be from abstaining from social media as an entrepreneur and as a coach. Specifically, I'm speaking in that context. That being said, everybody's free to make their own choice, right? If if you've educated yourself, you have all the facts, you know about the benefits of social media, you know about the drawbacks of social media, and still choose not to use it, I would never judge a person for that. You do you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Question. If you didn't have a business, like if you didn't have your own business, would you be on social media anymore?
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to say. Like I went through most of my 20s with extremely limited social media because, as the audience may or may not be aware, before I got into the coaching industry, I was in the military and I was in private investigation. And having a limited social media presence was beneficial to me in terms of my personal safety and privacy while operating in the world. So I didn't really get into social media in the way I am now until the last 4 or 5 years, actually. That's a recent development for me. So it's hard for me to answer that question because I don't know if I would have gotten as into it as I am now had I not started my coaching business and training business. But knowing today the information, the networking, the access to really wonderful human beings that I have, I'm glad that I did.
Mm-hmm.
So you can take from that, what you will.
Cool.
All right. So, by the way, listeners, if we've changed your mind a little, also send us a message. Let us know. If we've driven you deeper into your opinion, let us know that. We're just curious to hear the feedback.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think that's what were you going to say? Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, if you have other reasons why you hate it, share them. But if you also have other reasons why you love it, share those too.
Yeah. Oh man, we could talk for days about that. Like we could have 100 points on either side of this list. But here's just 5 kind of fun, interesting ones. And yeah, so Alana, what do you got going on? What should people? Oh, 2 people bought mugs.
Yeah, 2 people bought mugs. Aaron Martin, thank you, and Allison O'Byrne.
Yeah. So other listeners, join the stampede of people rushing to the It's the No Excuses Coaching Podcast merchandise store and buy your mugs, t-shirts, and sweaters, and whatever it is that's available on there. Not mouse pads yet. One day.
So yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you.
What do I have going on? I've got my first of 4 HypnoFlow classes going down starting Sunday, May 7th. We've got a great crew signed up for Sunday, May 7th. So you'll be hearing this on Monday, May 8th. But if you want in on that and you're in the Toronto area, you can go to the link in my profile at Alana Banks Coaching and find out more information or reserve your spot for HypnoFlow.
Yeah.
That's it.
Cool. I've got a membership coming out soon. It's the Make It Easy membership. How to use Instagram hypnotically. That's going to be the first membership. And then there's another higher tier membership coming out soon. Very accessible. And by accessible, I mean inexpensive. I want it to be accessible to a lot of people, even people who are just starting out on their coaching or entrepreneurship journey. So it's going to be a high value, low investment membership. So if you want to get on the wait list for that, if you want to be the first to hear about it when it does launch, which is going to be very soon, just shoot me a DM on Instagram and I'll put you on the list. And that's it for today.
Actually, another thing I want to mention is I just leaked out some of my modules for Awaken and Embrace Your Pleasure, which is basically a training, an audio training all about how to tap into your sensuality through the 5 senses. And it's $10 a month. So it's a steal.
Yeah.
So that you can access wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And you can get the link for that in the profile at Alana Banks Coaching.
Cool. Everybody sign up. All right. That's it for today.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.